Greetings, good evening, welcome along. It is another edition of Inspire and Be Inspired, and today we are giving you the first in a series of monthly specials we are calling the Soulful House Mafia. And I've got my guests with me. We all know exactly what's about to go down. I'm literally just going to bring them straight onto the screen. We have Mr. Mark Wilkinson, Lee Wright, and Craig Bartlett. I'm sure you guys can hear me fine. Can you? Yes.
Loud and clear.
That's
loud and clear.
That's what I like to see. Now, for some reason, you guys are all actually frozen on my screen, and I don't know why that is. Any idea?
Oh no, it's come back.
Yeah, there we go. That's better now. That's probably why. So, Craig, are you alive? Can you nudge your head? Let me know you're there.
But the other version of me, yeah, I'm back in the room. Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, fantastic. You got that's me. See, trying to be clever and being all technical, and as Mark will attest today, sometimes it doesn't actually work.
Yeah, you're not always your cleverest, are you?
Not always, not all the cleverest at all. So let's explain how this has all come about. I'm sure a lot of the people who are joining us today will have seen the conversation that Mark, Lee, and myself had, and Craig as well. How long ago was it? 3 weeks ago, Mark, on your page?
I think it was more like about 2.5 months
ago.
Long
time
ago. Was it really?
Still Spanish time, isn't he?
I'm living in a dream world. Well, as we were having the conversation before, and I said I don't like to be too prepared, and it's now so very apparent. So, okay, 2.5 months ago, Mark Wilkinson invited me onto his own page to discuss our roots in the Soulful House scene. He gave us the tongue-in-cheek title of the Soulful House Mafia. It was a title that I didn't really like at the time, and it's grown on me a lot, especially when I thought about how it encompasses so many people in the scene that we know and love. Then I spoke to Mark, I spoke to Lee, and I spoke to Craig. I said, listen, I have the time. Let's do this on a monthly basis every Tuesday. And that's what we're going to do now. So I want to start off by thanking Mark for the original inspiration. He's inspired me in so many other things that I talk about regularly. And thank him for allowing me to be in the hot seat. Although most of the time it's going to be everybody else doing the talking. So Mark.
There'll be other people.
And there will be other people on a regular basis. And actually, Lee, being as you were so difficult to get hold of, I've got to give a shout out. I've got to say this. Shout out.
Next man was on the bench.
To Bob Povey, Mark Hogg, and to Chrissy T. All of them guys in the last 30 minutes have just had a WhatsApp off me. I can't get hold of Lee. Are you good for tonight?
Let me on, boss. Let me on. I'll score a goal.
Bring me in, chief. Bring me in, chief. Okay then, Mark. So your original idea, you've done a lot of these things with your friends. It's a great way to just connect and communicate, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. And first of all, thanks for the big ups. I appreciate that. And I know that, we've connected on so many things over the years, particularly when you've been remixing your own life, should we say, and making your own changes. So we've connected so much in so many ways. And obviously that UK Soulful House Mafia idea of bringing us all together was just an opportunity for you, me, Lee and Craig just to have a walk down memory lane. And it was hilarious, wasn't it? I mean, it was 2 or 3 months ago, and there was some moments that were just like, oh, mate, it was just spent hours laughing about. I watched it back probably 2 or 3 times, the entire thing, like 2 hours of it. Wow. You know what I mean? It was so cool, and I loved watching it, and I just loved the vibe, and every one of us talking about music and sharing our peace and our memories and our positivity, and the amount of people that responded to it, and the amount of people that bought my book off the back of it, and the amount of people that contacted me saying, I loved that conversation with you guys. It was just so cool. And then you as you originally, like true Wardy style, you were like, no, I don't like that name. And then all of a sudden you've turned around and gone, no, actually it's grown on me. I like it. And I love the fact you basically contacted me and said, look, I want to run with this and do something with it. And I was like, mate, crack on, because I've got so much going on, and I love it. I love the fact you're inspired to connect all these amazing people that, what I'm doing is connecting people through words now with the book and everything else, as well as music. you know, and I think you're doing the same thing. You know, you've done music and you continue to do music, but you can also use words and connect people, which is amazing.
That is what we're going to do. So when we had the first conversation with yourself, it was definitely a stroll down memory lane. Tonight we're just going to be having a general chit chat and discuss the scene that we all came up in. We're going to be talking to people who are with us live, and there's going to be a lot more people watching the recording. And over the forthcoming months, there's going to be a lot of people who we all feel are responsible for bringing the soulful house scene to the forefront in the UK. And these other two gentlemen, again, most definitely fall into that category of being original Soulful House Mafia in the UK. Let's start with Lee, sitting nice and pretty underneath Mark. Back to basics, bad man, and now flying the flag high with Soulful House DJs. Just confirm for me, Lee, is that Saturday and Sunday, or are you running 7 days at the moment?
No. It's just Sunday.
Okay.
I don't want to scattershot the energy. Not as young as we used to be. So we're doing it once and we're doing it well.
Okay. And do you have regular? I see a lot of the same names pop up, but are they on a rotation, or do they have their own residency on that Sunday?
We've just got a group. We've got a team who play regularly, and then we've got guests who will play from States, Europe, wherever, and UK guys. But we have got an actual group of residents who play during the month.
Okay. And that's over on Mixcloud as well. Great response. Now I'm going to come back to you and talk about Soulful House DJs in a little while. Let's skip on down to Mr. Bartlett there, looking sun-kissed in Cardiff. A few days on the golf course, I understand.
Indeed.
And I saw you post earlier on, excited about the prospects of live events again, flying the L'America flag. Tell us about the dates that you've recently revealed.
Yeah, well, like we said in the first sort of chat, really, unlike Lee and the rest of what seems like the DJ promoter fraternity, I've sort of turned my back on the live stream just because my heart is in live music and events. That's what I know, that's what I love. And the thought of people wanting to watch my middle-aged, later age body pretending to dance to music just fills me with dread. So I got away with a few socially distanced parties last year, and I got a bit carried away. I got to be honest. Boris Johnson gave me that impetus that I thought everything's going to be normal. So I thought I'd release some dates, book some DJs, pay some booking fees and deposits with my fingers and toes crossed, thinking we'd all be all right. And then very quickly realised that the rates in Wales were still massive. So I've sort of held it down a little bit. I've announced 4 rooftop summer parties. July the 3rd, Melville Baptiste, Glitterbox, sold out. August the 7th, Horse Meat Disco, sold out. August the 28th, I'm going to be announcing possibly the end of next week. I'm just waiting for a certain German house disco producer, great DJ, to confirm he'll do it. Mm-hmm. It's all about the money, innit? And the final one is September the 11th, with Michael Gray coming back after we had such a great time with him last year. So I've advertised it as socially distanced, on tables, following all the guidelines, just to keep licensing and the local government happy. And so that I don't fill everybody with false hope, because the last thing I want to do is take money off everybody and just give it back because I have to cancel it. I want to try and keep it, utilize it to make things better. So we've come up with a brand new concept in a place called Level 4, which originally was the top of a car park in an old club I used to do probably about 10 years ago. And it's been totally transformed into a really nice, safe space if we have to keep social distancing in place. And let me tell you, if there's not social distancing, it's going to be amazing. Simply just out of this world. Something the likes of Cardiff. I'm not from a major city, London, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow. We're from a provincial city, 400,000 people. So the foresight in most of the building owners in the city isn't for luxurious, high quality venues. It's for rugby wearing, beer drinking. They don't want to listen to dance music. So the two lads that own this place have just said, do whatever you want, get people in our venue having a good time, and we can crack on. So for those that are watching, listening, I can't thank you enough for putting your faith in us, L'America as a brand, to be able to put these parties on and so quickly sell them out. So much so that the priority reserve waiting list for tickets is actually bigger than the venue can hold as well as it. So it's just outstanding, really. So let's just hope everybody continues to follow the instructions and the guidelines, and we keep safe so that restrictions do ease and we can do have a bit of fun in the summer outside when we can safely. So yeah, I'm blessed, really, really looking forward to it. It's the most excited I've been probably since I had the birdie on 18 day before yesterday. So I'm quite happy with that.
Little round of applause for Bartlett. I mean, that's a great speech, and mate, all power to you. Cardiff will be rocking.
Mark, a golfing man yourself, Mark, as well. Well, you were on the course yesterday, weren't you? After being in the gym,
I'm on the course tomorrow, mate. I've got a golf day tomorrow, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, it's nice. I mean, you know, I'm not one for going out for a walk. I know my wife has just bought a puppy, so I have to now walk the dog. But I'm not really one for going out for a walk. But you give me a little crooked stick and a little ball, I'll walk for as long as you want, mate. So.
Left, right, left.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anybody that's not going to be familiar with the amazing journey you've been on recently, Mark. But just recap on the exciting times that you've had in the last 2 months.
Oh, well, the last 2 months has been quite something. I mean, I got my book, Life Remixed. I've been planning it for 10 years and finally managed to execute it and get it out. Beginning of March, it came out. So that is, 2 months. And I got it endorsed by Bob Proctor and Marcy Shimoff from The Secret, which are two, I mean, they've sold millions of books between them. We've started off great. We've started selling plenty of books on Amazon. I've become an international bestseller, which I'm extremely happy with. I've also been running 5 days to Remix Your Life courses for an hour a day in the evenings on Zoom, which has been great. I've signed up 25 coaching clients. We've sold plenty of books. It's been a really wonderful last few weeks, if I'm honest with you, mate. And it continues. It continues with goals for me I want to put on a Sunday party at Ministry of Sound in due course towards the end of this year. And I'm working towards many, many goals. I just keep visualizing all the things that I would like to happen, and they keep happening. So it is exciting times. You know, we will, this too shall pass is a real classic thing, though it feels like it's dragged on for ages. Eventually, it's going to pass. We will slowly get back to some sort of normality, hopefully nice and quickly for Craig's outdoor parties and beyond. But the point is that we will get back to normality. Things will be slightly different.
Sign up 25 coaching club.
Oh, hello.
Hello. I've got my own voice in my own ears. It's amazing. But all I would say is that I've got myself into a really great position, and people are really believing in me and the Life Remix project and what I'm doing. And I'm really grateful for that. It's a beautiful thing, and long may it continue as we keep going, mate.
Okay. Do you want to talk about you skirted around the plans for the Ministry of Sound? Do you want to also highlight your plans regarding your online activities? Would you like to discuss that?
I'd love to bring it to the fore if you don't mind. For me, I'm going to join the Ministry Members Club once indoor hospitality can open again in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go and join the Ministry Members Club. I've got a lot of great friends there. There's a lot of people that collect there and talk and have meetings. So I'm going to be there every Thursday. I'm going to have all my London meetings there every week. I'm running subscription services. And I'll be putting on a Life Remixed event at Ministry of Sound. I have no doubt about that. I've absolute confidence that will happen. I'm using money from Mixcloud subscribers, and obviously there'll be other money coming into Life Remixed in various different ways. And I plan to hire the club on a Sunday from 4 p.m. till midnight and put us all on, and we all have a great time.
Brilliant. Well, you mentioned about the subscription services. Definitely the way to go ahead. Very grateful to the community that I have along the same lines. And in a few weeks' time, not part of the Soulful House Mafia talks, but I am going to be talking to Lars Berenroth, who's actually been operating a subscription service for almost 10 years now. So he's going to have a hell of a lot to share on that, amongst many other things. Lee, any plans to get back out there and do physical parties?
I've done one. I did well, not parties, but the phone is ringing again to do, at the moment, socially distanced sort of brunchy garden type events. So I'm sort of trying. I want to go back out there, obviously, but for the right gigs this time, I think, this side of the lockdown, and just so not just anything that comes in, but the right stuff, really.
Choose the right stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun.
I was waiting for that.
I just caught a glimpse actually of my are you feeling the Mary Poppins t-shirts? Look, I absolutely adore this. I saw it
controversial,
online.
mate. It's controversial.
I mean, I'm not actually advocating it, but it's just a nice t-shirt. So, that's my disclaimer.
I hear you, mate.
I just want
available.
I just want to say hi to a few people, to Cassandra, Cliff, Mr. Foster, Errol, Prue, Lisa, Jean, Sai Grazia as well. One or two other people that are passing through. Thank you for shares, and thank you for the likes. Just reminding everybody, tonight is going to be a curtailed conversation. We're not going to be getting too in depth because everyone has other plans that they need to be taking care of. Do you foresee, when everyone is released into the big bad world, that this online activity is going to continue, or is it going to be sort of like
I
tumbleweeds?
think now, certainly for me, Andy, I think events are going to require both. My plan will be to stream live from the Ministry of Sound, or indeed any club that I'm doing. Remix thing is about recovery from crisis, and so we need to recover from this crisis, and we'll find a way. We'll find the right way to do it, and people will buy into it and be a part of it. If they love their music, then they're in the right place, listening to what you're talking about and what all of us are doing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And I think for me, this connectivity and reach enhances everything that we do, and I think it's only going to get bigger. I honestly can't see this online activity shrinking as society opens up again. I think people are starting to get extremely comfortable doing this sort of thing and having the ability to dip in and dip out to stuff. You just look logistically, to get four of us in a room to have this conversation in the normal world would mean us all traveling half across the world, wouldn't it? Andy coming from Spain, me traveling all the way from Wales into England, or you know what I mean? And I think the more we do this, we've been doing it for just over a year. Well, it has been a year, the anniversary of streaming and activities and events. And like you say, it just gives us a bigger reach across the world, because we all know people that have moved around and relocated and are friends of friends. And having opportunities like this to just have conversations for people to listen to, whether you're talking about mental health or preparing for change and adapting to new normals, or just talking shit about house music that we loved from the 80s and 90s. I think it's absolutely amazing for me. One thing I was nervous about initially when lockdown started, and it's like, Craig, you've got to learn to use a computer and not just press 1 and 2 makes 3, but you've got to actually look at some programs and work out how to do things. But I think it's just been instrumental in keeping a lot of people sane and a lot of people connected, especially once we were all locked down and isolated in our own 4 square walls. Do you know what I mean? I think it's been fab, and I really do hope it continues. Well, it's bound to, because companies like Microsoft and Spotify, Apple, they're ploughing billions into this sort of area and industry, aren't they? And they're already developing things we haven't even thought of yet, I think, for us to utilize, isn't it? Like Andy, you've been instrumental in, and I think it's really, really brave of you, and it's been really appreciative, sharing your secrets about how to do things, because what I found from years gone by, and it's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, I was very insular with the stuff I used to do. Maybe not so much as a DJ, but definitely as a promoter. I wanted the pie for myself. I didn't want to share my knowledge, my promos, my records, you understand what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. We're now sharing knowledge. We're giving people our own, we're inspiring people from our own stories and showing people, well, if you don't know how to do it, give me a shout. We'll hook up on a call and I'll show you how to do it. It's admirable that.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice though, Craig, because the whole basis of the Soulful House Mafia that we built, and it is a huge family of people that we will definitely give credit to along the way. It was because we did all help and share the knowledge between us. So you probably did yourself a disservice then.
Yeah, but that became part of our vehicle to help each other out, didn't it?
Yeah.
And we all had a common goal. We all wanted to have the greatest nights, or good, not greatest, good nights. We all wanted to play at each other's really good nights. And we trusted each other, didn't we? What I mean about Insular is that if I had certain promoter hacks or how I could get 5,000 invites on Facebook, I wouldn't share the code with anybody because I wanted to get those invites out myself. Whereas in the last year, my personality's changed so much, I would happily share that knowledge so it'd give somebody else an opportunity. And that's one thing I've learned more than anything this year is share the love, people.
I think what I learned certainly some years ago when I was writing my book and coming out of my personal crisis is that cooperation is so much better than competition. Competition, if you're all competing and all trying to cut each other's throats and undercut each other and all stuff like that, it becomes a very nasty negative place, and it doesn't help anybody. And I heard Bob Proctor say that if you're worried about like your business and you're worried about someone else, like, taking over your business or taking your crowd, then you haven't got a business and you haven't got a crowd if you're worried about it. So don't spend any time worrying about it and just be like, well, actually, this is me. And, give someone else a leg up and get them to help, and they'll help you and you help each other. And that's how you grow. And I think in every crisis, there's an opportunity. And if that's what you've taken away from it, Craig, then brilliant. I love it.
And I think that's key. And that's where our conversations will go over the coming months of how our lifelong friendships have developed really over our kindred spirits and collective love for all things Soulful House.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Well, the love for all things Soulful House has grown communities, and Lee has a very strong community amongst one or two others of note. Thanks to the streaming, and we want to take a second to address a conversation I had with Lee earlier on. If you don't mind, Lee, you were stating how you were so personally rocked by a recent tragedy within your own community. Do you want to, I don't think it's any surprise to anybody, but do you just want to have a little bit of a conversation about that?
Yeah, we had a resident that a few weeks ago, he took his life from the information that we have, and it did rock me, and everything that we were doing, because and you have touched on it with these mental health conversations, that sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know, and sometimes people who give off the happiest vibe or the most supportive vibe, a lot of things are going on in their own space, and I think with the way social media has been in this last year, I don't know whether or not it's intensified things, but we definitely feel quite close on a Sunday. We support each other's show, and we the music, we share a lot of music together. So then when a piece of that just sort of disappears, it was just it was a real shock, and I think throughout the whole community, and it was somebody that I'd never personally met, but we'd done a lot of streaming and FaceTiming and things like that. But it was quite intense. So the last 2 weeks haven't been the best, but as one of the DJs says, you've got to celebrate life rather than just being down about the loss. We've got to try and celebrate that person's life and move a lot, and not move on, because we're not going to forget. But yeah, definitely very sad.
You actually, sorry Mark, I'm going to come straight to you now. I think one of the comments that you said, Lee, I believed it to be you take stock of your own mortality, and it makes you reflect on where you are in life and how everything is, and that's how you probably was so affected by it, because as you get older it makes you stop and just think about everything around you. Something like that stops you in your tracks, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as we're going to speak about this over different weeks and different guests that are coming on, you know, at 24, 25, we were only looking one way, which is forward. We're also thinking this thing's probably, it can't end. This is just too good for it to end. And we all know the amount of different chapters even to take it to this point, you know, and man, some of the gigs which we discussed before, you're in this place and you're thinking, you know, how did it get from being so good to being what is actually happening here? And then this particular period for me, it's being that good again, even though there's not been the dance floors. Hopefully that's going to come now, but musically, because life gets in the way sometimes, and I think when you guys, you've got families, you know, partners, move to somewhere else in the world. It isn't that 24-year-old guy in probably a shot jacket with his MA2 jacket and his DJ bag, and he can spend all Saturday in the record shop and just be, you know, that guy on a Saturday night. You know, it does change, but we are all back here. I'm not saying that it's going to be as good as that again, but it's not over.
The signs are there. So Mark, sorry to cut you off at the end there, Mark, you can relate to everything that Lee has just said. You're perfectly placed to be able to comment on some of what we've just discussed. But let's take you back to being that guy who thought he had the world at his feet, literally before your feet were taken away from underneath.
Yeah, I mean, you know, resident DJ, Ministry of Sound, thinking I'm, you know, Billy Big Bollocks, like, you know, I've made it. What a hero I am. And it was something that I'd really, you know, focused on for many years. And I remember going up to basics in Leeds, and Justin James came with me, and look at me, I took the roof off. It was amazing. It was a great night. And I remember him sitting there going, Wilkes, if I ever become like, you know, if I ever book like Ministry of Sound on a Saturday night, I'm going to make you the resident. And I never held him to it. I just went, mate, that's beautiful. Thank you. We're great. You know, and I remember one day he rang me up and he was like, Wilkes, listen, mate, you know, I was like, I'm booking Saturday night DJs. I was like, yeah? He went, yeah, can you come and play in 2 weeks' time? Within 3 months, I was the resident. It was just incredible. So to have that, and then a top 10 hit and all this other stuff, and then literally my body give way, and chapter 1 of Life Remixed is like my body and, you know, me just being laying on the floor, just going, what's just happened? To go from that to that was, you know, basically I went down and down and down, 18 months of sheer hell and agony and pain. The Ankylosing Spondylitis Society are asking me to front some campaigns for them, which is amazing, for charity this summer. So I'm going to do a lot of work with them. But one of the things is I did get suicidal. I did get really down. You know, as far as I was concerned, all my young life had been taken away from me. All the stuff, you know, I'm 33, 34 at the time, going, well, is this it now? Am I in agony for the rest of my life? Because if I am, then I'm not sure it's worth being here anymore. And those were some difficult thoughts and some challenging moments, you know, and I'm not sure I ever would have done it, but there was moments where I was like, this is not worth living anymore. And one of the things I wanted to mention, Lee, because I know you mentioned that on a chat between us as well. I went to volunteer for the Samaritans once. And I went to volunteer with the Samaritans. And, you know, I know we're supposed to be talking about soulful house and music, and I know we've got off on this mental health agenda, but it's so worth mentioning. The Samaritans, actually, you're not allowed to intervene. So if someone rings up and they're talking about ending their life, you're not allowed to try and talk them out of it. You just have to listen. And I found that really uncomfortable because I'm a coach. I'm a coach, and I want to coach people and say, listen, there's so much to live for. There's so much to do. There's so, you know, but you know what? Everyone's got their own journey and they've got their own decision to make. And you know, who am I to make a decision for anyone else? You know,
can you explain the thinking behind why you're not able to intervene?
Because it's your journey. It's someone else's journey. So the Samaritans, you just listen. And you have to listen, and they train you to listen. They coach you to. You don't just get thrown in. You have to go through like 9 months of training before they'll actually allow you to sit there and take calls from people that might be in a very negative place. But I very quickly realized that that was not something I would be able to do, because I am a coach and because I do know there's a lot to live for, in my opinion, that I want that to share that with the world. And that's what Life Remixed is about and everything else that I'm doing right now. So it was a really interesting piece because, you know, the bottom line is that each individual has their own journey. So I thought I'd share that because it was something that I found quite strange. I thought the Samaritans was there to, like, you know, really help people and lift them up. But actually, no, it's just to listen, which, again, many people need. So it is a really interesting thing. But, you know, let's not spend too much time there because, you know, I did recover, thankfully, and I'm happier and healthier and wealthier than I've ever been. And this is inspire and be inspired. So, you know, people have got their own journeys and we are here to bring music to them and to bring wise words to them and, you know, all learn along the way. Like Craig's learning, Lee's learning, I'm learning, you're learning, Andy. Someone said to me once, every day is a school day. You know, and if you go with that mentality that what can I learn today? You know, what can I give today and what can I learn today? Then all of a sudden, you know, life can be very, very joyful again. And I'm getting little goosebumps while I'm saying.
Indeed. Well, we're going to be reflecting a hell of a lot on all of those crazy days, the crazy moments, the times where you found yourself in situations that you couldn't actually believe, or the next day you couldn't believe that you got away with. There's going to be a hell of a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's people.
Can you see the message, Andy? Can you see the message from Philly?
I was just getting to it. Yeah, amazing. Do you want to read it out?
I got my first guest list from Mark at Ministry of Sound when I was 19. Definitely a proper badge for me. He just made a record with Soul Central. And it's beautiful. What a great voice. She comes across so well. So well done, Fru. I love that. It's amazing.
We're all part of each other's journey, and that's the great thing. Mickey, Joe, also here. Steve Reed, Mr. Blackwax, welcome along. And again, a lot of people watching the recording. I'm just going to repeat. This is a talk we're going to be doing on the last Tuesday of every month. We're going to be rotating the guests. I'll be sitting in the hot seat, but I'll be more than happy to just sit and let the guys talk between themselves. We'll be discussing some of the best clubs. We'll be discussing the records, how we help to break records, how we help to bring artists to the UK, how we help to ruin clubs, how we help to ruin artists.
How we've emptied a few dance floors along the way.
most definitely. It's all positive vibes, but it isn't all. It isn't all glory, is it? I mean, we had the conversation, and I would like to hear Craig's take on this. You've on a percentage of the gigs that you've played for your own gigs and guest spots, Craig, I would say you've done a lot more of your own parties than you've done guest spots. Is that a fair observation?
Yeah, because not many people wanted to put me on, so I had to put nights on. So
didn't get booked anywhere else.
and out of those,
bullying people, I got booked. No, I think it's that age-old scenario, isn't it? It's no one wanted to book me. No one was interested in listening to the style of music that I was really interested in. So let's put my own party on. So yeah, as a percentage over the years, I reckon I've done over 1,000 parties in 30 years. I reckon it's got to be up there somewhere like that. And I reckon
950 of them you lost money.
Not quite, but I would say there was a lot of bad ones.
Mm-hmm. When you say bad ones, explain bad ones. Bad.
Well, as a promoter, bad is a different. So as a promoter, you can look at bad as being lose money, no people there, no atmosphere. It just doesn't work for whatever reason. You have to close because there's trouble.
Or Jesus Loves Andy Ward, for an example.
Or yeah, you know what I mean? So bad can be a few different things. So I wasn't that, even though money is a driving factor when it's a business, you've got to learn as a promoter and as a DJ promoter that you've got to speculate to accumulate at times. Mm-hmm. So you do loss leading, promotion building, events like Carl Cox, 2,500 people. I made £23. God's honest truth. 2,500 people in the club. But on the result and the back of that, other things fall into place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, Louis Vega for the 4th birthday. The capacity of the club officially was 250 people. You know, I don't need to discuss DJ's fees, but let's just say I needed to fill that club 10 times over to pay for Louis Vega. Mm. However, breaking a few of the legalities and adding a few more people into the club that was legally allowed, facilitated the most amazing feedback. People couldn't believe that Louis Vega was there. Louis Vega going on video and camera at the time, because this was pre-internet, Facebook, social media, saying how amazing it was. Because I used to have, I was trying to think of their name earlier. I can't even remember the company. There were some lovely lads from London. They used to come up and film my parties.
Right.
And I'd have, I can't remember what, not Wide Load. They were brilliant anyway. So they'd come and do interviews, and I'd have it as a sort of memento of the night. And then when the internet became prevalent, I started sharing stuff. So, I've had good parties that have made no money, but it's still a great party. I've made loads of money and had shit parties when you're just like, oh, is it only 11:05? Oh, it's 11:30. Is it to the point where I've gone, go on, you play for 3 hours. You're doing such a great job. I know I'm supposed to be on 12 till 2, but you crack on. I'll let you play all night. Do you want some more drinks tokens? Just because I'm not interested. It was just one of them. But there's been, and people think it's all rosy, and it's really not. On the odd occasion, when the ducks are all aligned and the stars are aligned, you get that one moment, that one record that you dare to play, and it just makes sense. You go very, very deep or very, very soulful when they're peaking, or you play that disco classic or that funk classic and change the complete tempo, and people think, wow. And the one person, two people in all the years of doing America that done that really, really well, Jazzy Jeff and Moody Man. Moody Man came on the microphone and just went, listen, I don't think I want to play any house anymore. Who wants some disco? 2,000 people went absolutely bananas, and he played the most obscure disco records the last hour and a half. Jazzy Jeff came and played hip-hop and R&B to a house club. It was when he did that Soul Heaven album release. Yeah. So there was a house mix on there. People were like, Jazzy Jeff, what the hell is he going to play in America for? I said, listen, trust me, it's going to be an experience. It's a concept. And he just turned up. He played a couple of house records. And I just said, Jazzy, listen, do your thing, mate. I booked you for you. I haven't booked you to play the records I'm going to play. I'd save 10 grand and do it myself, mate. Do what you want to do and be you. And he just started playing funk and cutting up boogie and hip hop and disco. And people sort of thought, what the hell is going on? A couple of minutes, absolutely smashed it. Just incredible. And then you put people on like Bugs in the Attic, and people just don't get it. And you just think, I was convinced they were going to do a fantastic job. You know what I mean? So we've had a right old mixture over the years, nearly 30 years doing it.
So when you do something like that and you book Bugs in the Attic and it doesn't work, not looking to project any blame, but where does the fault lie? Is it because they don't read the crowd? The crowd aren't going to have anything they give them, or is it your fault?
Because you don't book DJs. Giles Peterson's another one. I love Giles, but sometimes it's just not what the punters want. And I've never booked a DJ to give punters what they want. I've always booked things
apart from Carl Cox. Apart from Carl Cox.
Carl Cox was a money-making. I booked Carl Cox, Pete Tong, Laid Back Luke, all these, because it's work. It's just like the grind 9 till 5, innit? That was my grind at the time. I knew he would put bums on seats. I knew eventually that would reap its rewards for me. Kudos with the club. I'll put Carl Cox in your club, fill it. Let me have next week for nothing. Next week is, Victor Simonelli, Mr. V, and whoever. No one's ever heard of them, but I've got a club for nothing. I charge a tenner, fill the club. I'm making money. So it's just about, it's like being a used car salesman, being a club promoter. It really is. Do you know what I mean? You've got to sell people the dream and let them believe it a lot of the time.
I see.
With America, we were in the right place at the right time. Nothing else was open late. I begged and borrowed to get a licensing to give me a late license. So we were the only place open. So by default, people would come because there was nowhere else to go. And I was giving them a musical style that they'd never really heard of. you know, and along with all the chemical stimulants and the alcohol content of the night, people just started thinking, oh, well, this is not so bad, this. And then it just materialized from there, really. So I've been really, really lucky. But at the same time, we've had some really, really dreadful nights. But people, Tony Humphries, this is a classic. I did a series of nights on a Friday. And I've never really done Fridays because Fridays are always tough, especially in Cardiff. You know, no one really goes out on a Friday. It's a Saturday night or bank holiday. So I did a series of events called The Pioneers. Todd Terry, Derek Carter, Tony Humphries. Oh, I can't think of the fourth one. Can't think who that was.
Lee Wright.
Yeah, Andy Wood. Tony Humphries, right? And it was probably 2010-ish. So Tony Humphries is at the peak of Yellow Orange. It's massive. He's filling venues all over the world, everywhere he goes. He was playing on the Saturday in the Ministry, 6 hours, sold out in 2 minutes kind of thing, yeah? He was in Italy on the Thursday, coming to us on the Friday. I thought, we're going to nail you. We'll do a nice exclusive, 400 capacity. I'll pay him a little bit less because he's already got 2 massive gigs. We'll win it. I sold 30 tickets. But I'm all the way up. I'm thinking, perhaps, you know, you make excuses as a promoter. Perhaps they're just not buying tickets in advance. They'll all pay on the night. So the owner said to me, is it a sellout, Craig? Not quite. We're almost there. They're going to be coming a little bit later. This, that. And then, you know, and we should go on to the 10 best excuses promoters make to nightclub owners when they're running a night, because I probably used all of them on this particular night. In the end, through the door, including staff, we had 80 people.
Incredible. Well, let's save some of those excuses for another time.
Dreadful. Dreadful. But it's the nature of the beast. It's what we do. The 80 people that were there had a fantastic time. I recorded it. I shared the recording with the love. Tony was absolutely amazing about it. And he just played his thing, and we just had a bit of a giggle. Lost a bloody fortune. Couldn't pay my mortgage for 6 years, but it doesn't matter.
It's refreshing to hear that.
Enjoy what I do.
It's refreshing to hear that it happens to even the biggest. And Mark, no stranger to the trials and tribulations of being a club promoter, because you had some rather high times, and then you also lost a shirt off your own back as well, didn't you, with your big nights?
Yeah, well, before I launch into that bit, there's a great bit that Craig was saying about like DJs when they do something a little bit unexpected. And I remember one of the things that just popped into my mind, you know, conversation stimulates other conversation. And one of the things that popped into my mind was Danny Tenaglia playing at Space in Miami. And he's playing like, you know, borderline techno, but he's playing really hard and he's just like banging it out. He's built up. He was soulful earlier on in the night. He's by like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like dunk, dunk, dunk. You know, even it's too much for me. I was like, no, this is too much. And all of a sudden, the music just stopped, and he put a big searchlight out across the dance floor like that. He's putting his searchlight, and he was going. Do you want some disco? Do you want some? What do you know? And he just put on Stevie Wonder. I wish. A dun 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 dun, just out of nowhere, and it was just memorable. You know, when a DJ does something like that, and you're just like, "Wow, that was so memorable." And I love moments like that. You know, when a DJ does something slightly unexpected, and it really kind of like lifts you up. So I'm sure we've all got loads of stories about those, and I know you guys will be sharing that in the weeks and months going forward. But yeah, so as far as that, I mean, yeah, I found myself. There was a weird moment in my life, actually. I was running club nights in London. We were doing Pasha, we were doing the Cross, we were doing all sorts of stuff around London. We were building it up. Kidology was getting bigger. It was like, it's all good, it's all good. And I just sailed gracefully into like 2008 with credit clubs. I didn't even know about money, or I just put on club nights and played some music. And I was doing all these big club nights, and all of a sudden, there's one point where I found myself walking around a nightclub with other people DJing, which is what I was wanting to do and what I thought I would be doing. And I've got a clipboard with a spreadsheet about who's getting paid what. And I'm like walking around and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, there's something not quite right here. You know, I mean, what am I doing this for? I'm supposed to be bringing the joy with the music, and I've got a clipboard. No. So that wasn't good. But the other thing was obviously, the credit crunch of 2008, and I was blissfully unaware of finance and how things work. And a naive young DJ that had just kept going. And I'd made a decent living and lived my dream and traveled to 65 countries and done all this amazing stuff. But when the shit hit the fan, basically in the credit crunch, I was running club nights that they had a break even of 500 to 600 people. And, you know, including DJ fees, club hire and everything else. And we'd be getting 700 to 800 people. So I'm like, all right, so I'm making a bit of money to pay the bills alongside a few other gigs for other wonderful promoters like some of you guys. And then all of a sudden, club nights went from 700-800 to like 300 to 400 in a blink of an eye. It was what it felt like in 2008. Everyone stayed at home because no one had money. They just wanted food, clothing and shelter. Fair enough. They didn't want to spend money on going out anymore. But I wasn't prepared for that. And the next thing you know, my profit margin is gone. And you put 6 months of that running clubs like week in, week out. I was done. I went off the cliff. And but you know what? The actual bankruptcy, which is documented in Life Remixed, the actual bankruptcy was nowhere near as bad as the incurable disease that I'd had before that. So I just took it in my stride and went, right, okay. And then Bob Proctor turned up and said, your way isn't working, try mine. And I went, fine, tell me, teach me. And I haven't looked back, mate, to be fair, and you know that.
Yeah, indeed. Lee, have you ever been involved with staking your life on parties and you know, sitting there looking at the door or the night before worrying about the tickets?
Too many, because even though we were doing the Saturday nights, this will be about 95. I used to do a lot of the midweek stuff, so a lot of student house-based events, you know, and because everybody was clubbing, so it was every night of the week, especially in a student city like Leeds. So we were bringing a lot of the big names, well, even guys like, because these were guys like Judge Jules or things like that. You'd bring them in a midweek, and the place would have 1,200-1,300 people there, you know, but it was on those weeks where you just got it wrong and you didn't want to get out of bed for 2 days. Yeah. You're holding that pillow real tight because it's hurting. So, you know, and other big bank holidays and stuff where it's just not gone quite the way you thought, and the way you promoted back then, you know, Ticketmaster and selling, you know, out of the record shops. I mean, the thing about the culture then, and we will speak over the weeks and different guys will be in and everybody will explain, but it wasn't sometimes I think when you play a tune now and it might be a new track and it's produced really well and it's good, it's just a good tune, but a lot of people will go, well, it's all right. And the reason why they say that is because the stuff that they love or that really lifts them, there's so many things that are associated with that, you know. So we remember getting that tune from the record shop and then going and buying the clothes, and then it might have been the girlfriend at the time, and everything rolls into the man ringing for guest list 10 minutes before, and he should have done it from the midweek, and then the night been amazing, or the journey up and down the motorway with the tune on, or just when the build up and the break and that tune drops. There's a lot of reasons to why these tunes are so special to us, and I think it's difficult for a lot of the people who are making the music now, because it's hard for it to have that impact without club culture, and it was club culture that made it. And there's a lot of elements to club culture. It wasn't just hands in the air, or it wasn't just the doorman, or it wasn't just the record shop by all day. You know, you walk in, especially if you've not got a name, but you walk in and you just look, and the man at the counter says, I got your bag. Well, for me, it was good because nobody wanted the music he had in the bag for me, because it was like all the, you know, it was like the obscure stuff or the stuff that the guy had brought off the back of the van, and he'd go, well, give me a few of them because Lee will probably like them, and maybe a couple of others, you know, whether it be a Strictly or a Nervous or a Easy Street or whatever the label was. So there's a lot of reasons to why it was special, and I do feel for some of the producers now, because they are making good music. You know, people ask me every Sunday, you know, is it as good now as it was then, or is the music as good? And because of the machinery in that, and the programs. Yeah, I think if you really look at the two lots of music, 1995 garage and house compared to the soulful house that they make now, there's not that much in it, but it's the memories that,
totally.
you know, it's all of us walking down to the Fontainebleau, just guys winging it. What we doing here in Miami, and just thinking this is not real. Madonna owns that place over there. You know what I mean? But that's what makes it.
We got stories for days about those Miamis. Mark, when did you start going to Winter Music Conference?
I must have. You put me on a spot, but it must have been around the late 90s. It must be about 2000, maybe something like that. 2000 to about 2006. I went every year, and what I found about the Winter Music Conference was there was moments where it was like the UK on tour, because you've done 6 months of hard winter, like September to like March, and you're like cold and pasty and like, oh, this is, you know, what have I gone through here? And then finally you get on the plane and you're in Miami, and it's just like, yeah. And then you're walking down and there's like Simon Dunmore from Defected, and there's someone put, you know, there's Paul Farris from Uptown, and then there's all these people. You're like, all right. You know, I could have walked around the corner and seen you, but you know, I had to fly to Miami to do it instead. Yeah. But Miami was responsible for some incredible moments. And, you know, all those DJs in all that place, in that tight little community on South Beach, all in one go for about a week. You could get lost in it, couldn't you?
Oh, most definitely. And most of us did on several occasions. I've got a brilliant video from one of the legendary Masters at Work parties. And I had this huge camcorder that I used to walk around with in like 1997, 1998. And on the video, I'm panning around, and I just see Lee sat there with his cap on, and there's about 6 Latino girls all sat around him. They're sat on his legs, and the cheesiest grin on his face, and he's just like, yeah,
chilling in Miami.
I'm not looking up at the moment.
I mean, we got so many tales, and I'm going to be bringing the guys on over the. I'm sure I'll probably even end up running it fortnightly. We got that many people that we need to talk to, and that many tales, you know. But I'm aware that you guys have got prior engagements this evening, so this is going to be a very curtailed conversation this evening. Between Lee and Craig, you're going to be rotating with us each time we do it. Mark, you won't be rotating as much, but we will be inviting you on as often as you would like to.
I would like to be involved at some point somehow, and just keep me in the loop. I'll be watching, of course, as well. You know, for me, Frankie Knuckles, Tony Humphries, CJ McIntosh, these were guys that you know, changed my life with their tunes, and just the opportunity to reminisce with some of you guys and talk about the future as well. You know, because if this is a mafia, if this is a collective, you know, it's about working together. Cooperation is much stronger than competition. So there'll be things that come out of this that we may not even know about right now, but there'll be things that come out of this that will be very, very positive. So I love the fact you're going to run with it, mate.
Anything that does come out of it in the future will definitely be powered by your energy in the background, without a shadow of a doubt. And I will always draw reference to you for that. So I got to thank you for allowing this to actually grow the wings. And you know, as I say, whenever you're ready, mate, we'll get you back on. No problem.
It's my pleasure, and I'll be supporting. And you know, I love what you're doing with Inspire and Be Inspired, mate. And some of the talks you're having, and the people you're getting involved, and everything you're doing is just wonderful. And if you can fix my email by tomorrow, then we're properly friends.
I will be working on it this evening. So that gives me the opportunity to talk to everyone that's watching now. As you will be aware, Mark, the problems that we have is getting in front of people and getting them to see what we're doing. It's not that more people aren't interested in what we're doing. It's just the fact that the algorithm or whatever it is just doesn't show up in people's newsfeed. So every time you guys are liking, commenting, sharing, it really does mean the world to all of us. So the more you can do that, the more we will really appreciate it. I just wanted to stick that in there. Lee and Craig, we'll get you on next time. I spoke to Bob earlier. And so we're going to get Bob Povey on, I think, at the end of May, and maybe someone else. He's going to be sharing us all the stories about the South Coast Mafia, And and then I've just wrote a note down here, which I think would be a good idea. If the next time we talk, if we all have 5 pieces of vinyl in front of us, or 3 pieces of vinyl, because we can't play them on Facebook, and we just show them and then talk about a story related to it, I think that would be a really good way, interspersed with the stories that we've got to tell. What do you guys reckon?
A great idea.
I might just throw a spanner into the works there. Is it okay if I show my USB or my
come on?
MP3? Or I don't play vinyl. Gave up playing vinyl in 2004.
You own no vinyl. You own no vinyl.
One record.
Huh?
I digitized every single record. I was one of the first people to embrace modern technology way back. I was playing CDs when you boys didn't even know what CDs were.
Tomorrow's World. Eat your dinner off it. Okay, well, you're off the panel. Mark, you're back on the. You're back on the.
If you're going to discriminate against technology in that way, that's fine.
Do you know what? In Craig's defence as well, like when all the stuff hit the fan for me, all my records went. I own no vinyl whatsoever. But I tell you what, I would do, Andy. Next time you invite me on, my friend Keith runs a vinyl store. Online vinyl store here in London. It's called the House of Vinyl, and I would deliberately, when next time you invite me on, I would deliberately go to his store and pick up 5 tunes that are 5 bits of vinyl that I absolutely love, and bring them in and talk to you all about.
Okay, we'll consider it a date then.
All right.
Okay,
I'm going to use modern technology then to print out some pictures and pretend they're 12 inch.
We'll do that. I'll tell you what then, forget the vinyl. We'll just have a list of 3 tracks that we'll talk about. How about that for accommodating?
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, I've got loads of little tools and everything now that I can. I'll talk to you about this if you want, Mark. It's a stream deck. I can change all the views and everything. So with the press of a button, I'm going to boot you off. I'm going to kick you out of Zoom, and I'm going to say my goodbyes to everybody. So you
can we just say a big shout to some of the people that are in the chat?
Please do.
Jean, Mark, Paul Foster, Cassandra, Errol's in there, Steve Reed. I can't see because you've got the ability to scroll, so I can't scroll up.
Well, I was just if it's any consolation, that's what I was about to do. So I will be.
Oh, sorry, I thought you was cutting us.
No, I'm cutting you, but I'm going to go and talk to them now. You go. Right, you go about your business. Thank you, guys. Mark, I will be in touch. I promise. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, mate.
See you guys. Love you. Love you.
Bye.
There you go, and they've gone. A press of a button. I've kicked them off Zoom. They've exited, and now it's just me and you guys. I can see here on the screen we have Mark Johnson sending us a like. You may have just missed me giving a shout out to Bob. He's going to be with us in May. Also, Mark Shelley, Jason Thornton, to Ellie. Good evening, my dear. Nice to have you with us. To Damon, to Bryn, Ross, Fozzie, and then shares from Mark and myself earlier on. On Tuesday, I am going to be in conversation with Mr. Wes Saunders, the managing director of Defected Records. Now, that's Thursday afternoon at 2:00 UK time, in conversation with Wes Saunders. He's the managing director of Defected Records. We're going to be talking about his own journey, and then we're going to be talking about the trials and tribulations of having the onus of being arguably one of the world's biggest house music labels. So if you can join us, then do check that out. And shouts out to Neil Davison, who was watching as well, and anybody else that's been watching. Cliff Williams also shared it earlier. Thank you so much, brother, and everybody watching the recording. As I did say earlier, it is a struggle trying to get in front of everybody. So all of your shares, all of your comments, all of you mentioning it to other people, it does mean a great deal. I am going to get some food inside me now. A short one tonight. Thank you very much, guys, girls, and I'll see some of you on Thursday.